Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome along to the Afternoon Rabble here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast. The final day where we are scrambling about looking for something to talk about because we've got the press conferences tomorrow. Rangers are back on Saturday. So enjoy the happiness, folks. Enjoy the happiness today because Rangers are back. Joining me on the show today is Alan and Brian. Alan, how are you?
I'm not too bad. A wee bit sleep-starved after night shift, but I'll survive.
Yes, as Gloria Gaynor once famously said. Brian, how are you?
Not bad. I'm the exact opposite of Alan. I am the least sleep-deprived person in the last few days. I've had a 12-hour sleep and I've probably had an 11-hour sleep the last couple of nights. I've slept like a baby, so I'll shove some of that on Alan for him.
That probably explains why 10 minutes ago when you came on backstage, you went, morning.
Yeah, because I wasn't quite sure what day or time it is. So, yeah, I feel for Alan because I've been there. But, yeah, I'm certainly not sleep-deprived.
Well, I had to take my missus' car into the garage because it's got a coolant leak and I had to walk home from the garage. So I'm knackered. Exhausted. It's like a 15-minute walk, absolutely exhausted. Yes, look, it's a day of remembrance as well, we should say. So it's not been a great couple of days for America, but without getting into the details of it and stuff like that, because I don't want the show to start getting political, but it's not been a great couple of days for America. So, thoughts and best wishes to everybody right now who's going through a difficult time. It's not a great time of year over there. So thoughts to all of our American viewers as well, who are going through a difficult time right now. Right, let's talk foosball, shall we? Alan, mate, I'll start with you. Something we've not really discussed for a while, but Rangers have been given a fine and a suspended ban, which will no doubt turn into sanctions further down the road, for setting off flares away in Bruges. Something I thought that wasn't something we were going to be discussing over the international break, Al.
No, but I think when we saw the pictures from Bruges, we knew it was probably coming at some point. I really don't know what else can be said that is going to get the message across. I think we can all sort of appreciate flares don't necessarily look bad, but we know that they're not allowed. We know that the club are going to get hammered every time there's flares and fireworks set off, and amongst the fans, and we know it's UEFA's ball, and we have to play by their rules. Everybody can have their own opinion on where or not looks good or not in football, but the long and short is it's not allowed, and we continue to break the rules, and we're going to end up seeing the fans who follow the club all over the world, being starved of being able to go to a game, but possibly, and irrespective of whether or not it's a glamour game or a game in somewhere less fancied, but fans are going to be denied the chance to go and watch Rangers, and spinning bird flips probably bang on. I've seen the picture doing the rounds with Russell Martin holding a flare, asking the club to ban him, saying die for the club. But it is going to end up that suspended ban is not going to be suspended for too long, because the idiots are just going to continue lighting flares and defiance.
And like Alan's saying there, Brian, regardless of your thoughts on the subject, it's one of these ones where it's not down for discussion. It's not a democracy. It's UEFA's ball. What UEFA say go if you want to play in their competitions. Why can't we just follow the rules? Even if you totally and utterly disagree with them?
Don't quite know. It's almost like a little bit of a defiance, isn't it? It's almost like they think, well, eventually UEFA will let us off, but UEFA are not like that. As you say, it's their ball and it's their rules, and unfortunately, to play in their competitions, we've got to abide by them, and it's not nobody wants that, because the spectacle and the way that it looks is really nice, but until such time as UEFA turn around and say that it's okay to do it, then we really can't be carrying on doing this and just letting off flares and anything. Well, we had fireworks at one game, didn't we? There was a game and somebody let off fireworks. So it's really, we've really got to, unfortunately, toe the line here. We don't like to toe the line, but if you're gonna, because I believe the next time it happens, it'll be basically no away fans at another game. Is that correct?
Yep.
That'll be the next sort of thing. So then you're stopping all the sort of the hardy people that go every away game going. So that's because I dare say that a lot of the Union Bears don't go to the away games. They go to some, but not them all. So you're going to stop normal people just going to the game to watch their team. So it's a tricky one. But as you say, it's UEFA's ball, and unfortunately, we have to toe the line if we want to play in their competitions.
And look, I completely understand this comment for Shamandog. I don't know if I'm saying that properly. Embrace fan culture. I get it, Alan. And we look back to the scenes with the Union Bears down at the Clyde after we won the league, and it was phenomenal to look at. We've seen some great stuff inside stadiums. I think flares bring something that is good for the game in terms of the visuals of it. I think it looks great. But you can't just say embrace fan culture if it's going to affect the football club. You need to fight for change from within and get these things brought in. Fans just taking it upon themselves to go, well, I don't care. I'm just going to bring my flares and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's hurting the club. It's hurting, and it's also hurting other fans.
Listen, 100%. I'm all for embracing fan culture. I think it's a much deeper discussion to have and how that can be sort of fully embraced and improve not just the atmospheres, but the numbers going into games and attending games and spending money in games. But this isn't a difficult discussion. This is quite simply UEFA saying, if you do this again, you're not going to the next game. That's as easy as they can make it. It's not a conundrum for anybody. It's not a riddle that UEFA are giving us to solve. It's you don't stop letting off flares out in grounds, which we're telling you repeatedly not to do, then you're not going to the next game. If we have any issues at Ibrox, we're going to see a section of the stadium closed for European games. They've been very, very clear on what the sanctions are going to be and very, very clear on what we need to do to avoid them. And the fans, whether like it or not, need to toe the line on this.
Yeah, as like I say again, as frustrating as it is, and look, I get there's other reasons people are putting in the comments. People have got breathing problems and heart conditions and stuff like that. I get all the arguments round about it. I'm not advocating for or against. I'm just saying we're not allowed to, so don't do it. I think it's relatively simple. Just don't do it. Right, okay, Brian. Questions come in from Kings, and if you've got any questions, folks, please do get them in. It really does help the show along, especially during an international break. Just remember and put a nice big Q at the start of your comment so I can differentiate between a comment and a question. So this from Kings, Bri. Guys, it's clear the international showed we have real quality. Do you have faith Russell Martin will let them shine now? So that question to me, Brian, is will Russell Martin change the way that he has started the season with Rangers? And I think we all know the answer.
I think we all know the answer. Unfortunately, it's going to be a hard no for me. I don't think he will change. I think he has to change if he wants to survive being Rangers manager. I mean, the very fact that he has a Belgian international who's scored and is now pretty much in the first 11 fold at Belgium, can't get a game at Rangers is scandalous as far as I'm concerned. What other player in that team would get into the Belgium 11? Not many. None, probably. So he's by far and away one of our best players in the squad. And Russell Martin chooses to not pick him because of personal reasons or whatever. Now, I dare say over the years in history of football, there's been players and managers that have not seen eye to eye, but they've put aside for the betterment of the club. They've managed to find a way to work together and to make peace and at least have a working relationship. So this is now, I would put this firmly at Thirlwell's door now. Thirlwell's got to get these two around the table and say to them, you guys have got to make this work. This can't carry on the way it is, because Russell Martin is now basically devaluing our player every time he doesn't play him. Every time, the longer Raskin doesn't play, his valuation goes down. And instead, it should be going the other way. The more he should be playing now, the value should be going up. So if any prospective clubs want to buy him, we should be getting, top dollar for him. But the way Russell Martin is behaving, he's now decreasing the value of our player, and I'm quite sure that the owners wouldn't be too pleased if, say, for example, if somebody comes from in January and they bid 7-8 million because he's not playing and he's not getting much game time, instead of playing every week, playing for Belgium, and his stock going up. Unfortunately, it's going the other way. So the owners and certainly the director of football have got to be taking a stance on this and saying to the two of them, this has got to work. Simple as that.
What's also devaluing his value, though, Alan, is the fact that he's running out of contract at Rangers, and regardless of whether he plays or not, we're not going to get anywhere near the value that we think we're going to get, even in January, because that puts 18 months left in his contract or something like that.
Yeah, and we need him back in the team to do the most we can to maximise his value, or show him that he does have a long-term future here and get him on a new deal. I think one of the two has to happen. He needs to be moved on, or needs to sign a new deal. It's massive that we get Raskin back and available for selection and back on the team more often than not. I think he's shown on international duty that it deserves a place in the team, but there has to be a productive meeting between him, Russell Martin, the staff, and Kevin Thirlwell. That needs to be discussed, and they need to treat it like adults and find some common ground, because it does none of them any favours for asking to continue to be isolated. And I think we talked a wee bit in the stuff in the comments for the guys that a change of style against Celtic. I'm not sure how much was necessarily changing style and how much was down to the fact that we actually get pressed a lot less than we did in any other game this season. But Russell Martin needs to get his players on the ball higher up the park and stop being so patient and respectful of teams by being so slow at the back, because he's killing these players. We've seen on international duty, these guys are good players, and we need to give them a platform to shine.
Well, as Gallant says here, Brian, both Neil McCann and Alex Ray said Raskin has poor self-discipline and is very opinionated. I don't remember them saying poor self-discipline, to be fair, but they definitely said he was opinionated. That to me shouldn't, poor self-discipline should, but being opinionated shouldn't put you out on the outskirts of a team. And if I was a manager of anywhere and I had somebody who was opinionated, I would like that.
Mm-hmm. As long as it's sort of structured and sort of a decent sort of, where the opinion's coming from a decent place and it's not just constructive. Yeah, constructive. Yeah, as long as it's constructive, I think anybody can work with that. I think when it gets to the point of when you're being non-constructive and disruptive, I think then that is a problem. I would certainly agree. Where this is the delicate line of a manager. I mean, how many managers over the years have had players who are difficult to handle but somehow made it work? they've made it work to a point that, there's players that have been either ill-disciplined on the pitch or they've been very, tricky to work with, but they've had the man management skills to sort of say, right, okay, we'll work with this rather than go against it. So its opinion's fine. I don't think any manager would say that's a bad thing. So it's how Russell Martin. I mean, is this the first time Russell Martin's came across this sort of player with an opinion? Is everybody sort of just listened to Russell Martin and then everything's been fine? So is this the first occasion that he's came across this where players, came back at him with something and had an opinion? So, maybe it's a chance for Russell Martin to grow and, at least be able to handle these sort of players, because let's be honest, these types of players are going to become more and more common as years go on.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I will come to some of the players who have been in international duty. Somebody's also asked who starts up front on Saturday. I'll bring that up in a wee second. There are reports, though, Alan, that the discussions have already been had, which I would find a bit crazy. Yeah. Because I don't think Raskin will be back yet from international duty. Although he might be back in Okinawa. He might be. The discussions can only go one way, and the only one go will be Alan, and that's where Raskin back in the squad. I don't know if he'll be back in the starting lineup on Saturday, but there is no way that he will not be back in first team training and back round about the squad, surely.
I can't imagine a world where we don't see Nico Raskin in the squad on Saturday, where he starts or where he's on the bench. It'd be a chance to have a bit of sort of goodwill almost by getting him a big cheer when he gets brought back onto the park. I think it might be smarter for Russell Martin to avoid that, and just get him starting. I think it maybe goes a wee bit against Russell Martin, creates a bit more negativity if he brings Raskin on after 60 minutes and he gets a huge cheer. The fans vocally picking the player over a manager. I think Russell Martin's smart. He actually starts him, so the cheers for Raskin is done before the game kicks off. But Russell Martin needs to find a way to work with Raskin. We mentioned some of the previous coaches have mentioned that it can be difficult to manage, but they got a tune out of him. They got performances out of Raskin, and they get buy-in for Raskin. So yes, he might ask questions. He might be difficult to manage. That's part of management, managing individuals. Coaching individuals and bringing the best out of him. If Russell Martin wants to continue with players like Raskin and continue to no be challenged, Russell Martin will end up getting sacked sooner rather than later. So even from a self-preservation point of view, if Russell Martin wants to be a success, he needs to learn to adapt to the group that he's got.
Yeah, and that is the one thing I think his ego will struggle with, to be brutally honest. Another actual good point here from Shaman Dog, from Twitter. Rothwell has had 2 weeks to work on his fitness. Let's see how he looks when he starts over Raskin on Saturday. Brian, are we looking for a lot more from Rothwell after this international break? I mean, he had a pre-season to get himself fit, Brian, and maybe he is fit. There is people out there who do just look as if they're blown out their arse after 2 minutes, but there's still plenty left in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did say that he looked like he was towing a caravan, didn't he? He was just, for a guy that just played however many games he'd played in the English Championship, he looked desperately shy of fitness. So, yeah, I'm hoping for a lot more out of Rothwell after 2 weeks. Basically 2 weeks free training. I'm hoping that he's been doing all the work that can hopefully see him last 90 minutes, because we need players to last 90 minutes. It's all very well. I mean, that midfield role that he plays, he should be strolling games. He should be going through that game without, all right, having the odd sprint here and there to do a little bit of recovery work. But by and large, a Rangers sort of holding midfielder shouldn't be having to do tremendous amounts of graft all the time. You know what I mean? You've got so many other good players to help you. And I mean, yeah, he has been a bit of a disappointment, to be putting it mildly. So yeah, I'm going to be really intrigued to see how he looks and how he lasts, because I think that's the most important thing is is he able to last 90 minutes? And going back to Raskin, the Belgian manager gets a tune out of him. He doesn't have a problem with him, so maybe Russell Martin should be chapping on his door and saying, right, how do you get the best out of him?
Did you watch the morning show, Brian?
No, I didn't actually know. I was if you'd seen my introduction at 12:27 when I says morning, that would have gave you a rough idea of if I'd seen it.
Sometimes you get up and you watch. I just wanted your opinion on the Jubal story that I had this morning, but you missed.
I didn't see the Jubal story. Sorry, no.
Did you see the Jubal story yesterday?
Yes, I did actually. Yes, today was part 2, wasn't it?
Yes, and you missed it, and you missed part 2.
I'll watch it back.
You missed the final part. I mean, the morning show this morning was on for over an hour, actually, because of all the calls that we had. I did have like a 15-minute monologue at the beginning of it. But no, it was. See, I don't know. I don't know if you can class that as cheating. I really don't know. And the reason I've said that, folks, is because if you want to find out what happened on that Jubal story, then you have to become a member and go and watch the members show back. There we go. Links are in the description if you want to help the show out a little bit more by becoming a channel member now. You can either YouTube or Patreon, whatever one you prefer for your delectation. The links for which are in the description. Failing that, you can just hit the like button and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, and follow across all socials. All the links for which are in the description. And it wasn't anticlimactic. That's not fair. I gave you the ending of the story. Alan, should Rothwell be strolling it?
I think he should, but I think the way the team overall are playing is not really helping them. I think the sort of, and I keep me back every time I'm on and talking about what Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell spoke about in the summer, about what we're going to see for a team. You know, a team aggressive and controlling the ball and getting players further forward and on the ball. Joe Rothwell should be sitting in there as a six, picking up the ball for the centre backs and spraying the ball about the park and bringing the full backs and the eights into the game. You know, Joe Rothwell's not in there to run about and cover every blade of grass. He should be there as a deep line playmaker and just dictating the play from deep, letting guys like Raskin, Diamande, Barami, Asgard, Cameron, whoever's playing in front of him, go forward, letting the fullbacks go forward and adding numbers in the middle of the park. Rothwell should be dropping deep, taking the ball off of the centre backs and playing football instead of asking them to do it.
And just come back to Martin a wee bit, Alan, right? As multiple man saying, Asgard scored 3 non-penalty goals for Norway, all of them because he was in the box supporting the striker. You know, obviously Asgard getting 4 goals in total for Norway, Raskin scoring for Belgium, John Souttar looking pretty comfortable, it has to be said, for Scotland. Are these international appearances, are these making things worse for Martin?
They will if the players
more difficult, maybe more difficult, I should say.
They should make it easier for Russell Martin, because Russell Martin should be bringing the guys back in, asking them to go and carry on what they're doing for international duty. They're coming back on a high. You know, they've had some really good performances. You know, Asgard has to be an nailed-on starter for Saturday. He can't bring a boy back after scoring 4 goals for his international team and put him on the bench. You know, he started the last game for us. You know, he was asked to do a very specific job, you know, which is hard for him to shine on the ball doing that. But he stuck to the task, done exactly what he was asked to do. He's went away with and had a really good international break. These players should be coming back, put into a team, flying, giving Russell Martin a boost. It's got to put massive pressure on him if he doesn't get a tune out of these players and they come back and they struggle after doing well at international level. That's going to reflect really badly on Russell Martin when the fans are already lacking in any sort of patience and belief in him.
Yeah. And I mean, Cornelius, Brian, Big Ammo with those free kicks. How much are you looking forward to seeing him in a Rangers shirt?
Yeah, I must admit, I didn't see obviously the Cornelius free kick when it happened, so I checked it up when the sort of buzz was happening around it, and I was like, wow, big centre half taking a free kick. The last time we'd probably seen that was Big Bruno, wasn't it? He liked to have free kick, Big Bruno, but certainly Amoruso, yeah, definitely. So yeah, excited to see him. He looks he's got a
new
big
free kick taker, Brian. Ever new free kick taker.
It could be. It's certainly that you're perfectly correct. That could be another job Tav's out of. So, but no, it's he looks a big lad with a presence, and he's good at set pieces, which is ideal. So yeah, that's another positive to take in. He'll be, Cornelius will be buzzing with scoring as well. So as Alan's saying, this is making Russell Martin's job on Saturday very. Well, it should be very easy, but it's it could be tricky because he's now then got to assess these guys and say, right, goodness, he's had a good game for his country. He's had a good game for his. All these guys that have had decent international weeks. That he's suddenly now got to think, right, I've got to play them because they're buzzing. They're playing well. So it's, as Alan says, it should be very easy for him, but. This is Russell Martin we're speaking about. It's not so straightforward as that, is it?
No, it really isn't. And can I just ask that anybody over 30 close your ears or go and do something for 5 minutes, right? Because I'm about to use stats, and I know that people over 30 don't like stats. I don't like stats, right? And I know I look under, but I'm actually over 30. So everybody over the age of 30, just go and do something new. Go make yourself some toast or just go and do something, right? And it goes along with this question, Alan, who starts on Saturday up front, right? Now, the conversion rate for us this season, we are in 11th place with 5.9 conversion rate. The only team below us is Aberdeen, who've got 0. Celtic are in 9th with 13.6, Hearts in 3rd with 20.4, Kilmarnock 23.1, and Dundee United top the league of conversion rates with 25. We're nearly 20 points down on Dundee United for our conversions, Alan. So, who starts on Saturday up front?
Bojan Miovski, easy choice for me. Saw somebody joking, I hope, in the comments saying that we'll probably see Danilo start on Saturday. I think that would be an absolute mental decision, given that we've brought in Miovski and Chermiti. I think Miovski, with his experience, we've struggled for experience at times in the team. I think he's got to go and pack that team with experience and a bit of pace. I think Miovski had a really, really decent performance in the Old Firm game in his debut. I think we need to make sure we get him some service and we'll see him score goals. And I think if we do that, get a good performance, it'll be a great time to bring Chermiti on into the game and give him some game time.
The only issue, obviously, Brian, that we have, not the only, that was a very misspoke there, right? One of the issues, Brian, that we have right now is the service that we give to our front men. Now, I agree. I mean, it's got to be Miovski, right? Miovski has to start up front. But we're not getting the ball to the striker, Brian. And when we do, he's about 30 or 40 yards outside their goal. So we're not really even giving our strikers many chances to score.
No, I mean, for as well as Miovski did against Celtic in the Old Firm, he wasn't given much service. He battled away up there. He tried to hold the ball up well. But as far as gilt-edged chances and chances for him to at least have a shot on target, they were few and far between because of the service. And as you say, so that's up to the wingers and the midfielders to supply him. I mean, every number 9 needs good supply, regardless if it's midfield or the wings that it's coming from. So he needs service. It's as simple as that. So yeah, we could, Ant-Man started very well, but he's dropped off. Gassam started well, he's dropped off. So you're kind of hoping this little international breaks sort of freshened everybody up and got them refocused and get them back into the way again. But yeah, Tremetti. I mean, we're all looking forward to seeing him. £8 million. I mean, who would have thought us spending £8 million and he wasn't even in the conversation of an automatic starter? So. But yeah, it's gonna be. It'll be put it this way: Russell Martin's 11 on Saturday is going to be very telling going forward.
Final question to the two of you, Brian. I'll start with you. Is anyone looking forward to Russell Martin's press conference tomorrow? I'll be buzzing for it, Brian.
I wouldn't say looking forward to it. I'm interested to see what he's going to say about certain players, as in Raskin and as in the guys that have been on international breaks and stuff like that. That's going to be the sort of interesting part of it. Is he going to do what he said before, and everything? Is he going to sort of just sort of? I'm not wanting to say gaslight us, but is he going to tell us the whole truth, or is he just going to say what he thinks everybody wants to hear? So I'm just more interested to see how he addresses, because let's be honest, the first thing they're going to ask is who's available, and which they're going to ask about Raskin.
It's going to be Raskin.
He's scored for Belgium, and they're going to ask him about that. So that's going to be the interesting one for me, is how he handles that question.
Alan, you were kind of nodding there in approval of what Brian was saying.
I think Brian summed it up. Not exactly looking forward to his press conference, but very interested to see what comes out of it. I think, as Brian alluded to, he's going to get a lot of questions very quickly about Nicholas Raskin. And it'll be interesting, given the pressure Russell Martin's been under, how he copes with questions being asked that might be difficult, and looking to get a reaction out of him. I'll be very interested to see how he handles that and how he's actually dealing with the pressure. I think the international break has probably helped him. I'm not very happy that some people think we've turned a corner against Celtic, because we should have absolutely battered them. It was the one game this season we've not actually been pressed and not had anything to worry about it back. But that wasn't a turning point. I don't think, Russell Martin has to find a way to turn it into a turning point. But, I think he's been very fortunate for the international break, taking just a wee bit of the intensity, the heat off him. But it'll be very interesting, his attitude, almost more than what he says.
Final question, actually. This is the final question, right? Alan, do you like scrambled egg?
Yes, I do.
Brian, do you like scrambled egg?
Yeah.
See, if you're making scrambled egg for yourself, just you, nobody else, how many eggs do you use?
3.
3, maybe 4 if I'm hungry.
3. Because see, I've been eating scrambled egg the last few days, and I've only been using 2 eggs, and you don't get a lot of scrambled egg for 2 eggs.
No, you don't.
I think if you're maybe making it as part of a bigger breakfast, 2 eggs is maybe all right. But if you're just having like scrambled egg and toast or something, 3, or maybe even 4 if you're really hungry like Brian.
Right. I'll maybe try 3 today then.
Your eggs to toast ratio, you need more eggs than toast ratio, put it that way.
Right, because I ate the 3 sausage rolls, Brian, the other day, and I've not forgave myself yet.
I just couldn't believe it was the speed that you took one. It was like it was off the plate and it was in your mouth before I even could look and register, and then it was down your throat before I could even blink. I was like, "Wow, you were hungry."
I've not been on a diet for nearly 2 weeks. Of course, I'm hungry. All the sandwiches I never ate. I'm so gutted. Right, okay. I'll try 3 eggs a day then, and if it's still not quite enough, then I'll move up to 4. All right, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching this back and you make it to this point, which, let's face it, if you're not watching live, most people don't. But if you do make it to this point, let me know how many eggs you use for making scrambled egg for yourself. Because I would like to know. I would like to know what's an acceptable amount of eggs to use for scrambled egg. And I can only have one slice of toast and use it as my healthy extra B. So,
3 eggs then for 1 slice.
3 eggs for 1 slice.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'll do Hell's Kitchen Rabble. Yes, Ian. Yes. All right. Well, that's fine. That's fine. And by the way, last week I learned how to make scrambled egg in a frying pan because I always put it in the micro. My scrambled egg, but I've learned how to
You
make
absolute heathen putting it in a microwave.
How's that heathen?
Graceful. It's always a pan. Jeez, oh.
Well, now I know that with some cut up pepper, some spring onion, some salt, some pepper. Anyway, right, I'm really hungry. Folks, thank you very, very much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Please do like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the show. Consider becoming a member if you want to help the show a little bit more and get access to loads and loads of extra content. Alan, Brian, thank you very, very much for joining me. For members, we'll see you back tonight for the WWE 2K25 members versus Podders. And for the rest of you, we'll see you back tomorrow morning for the morning rabble and tomorrow afternoon for the afternoon rabble. So thank you very much, folks. Speak soon.